Hello guys, it's Tom and Pyers here from Raycom TV. Welcome back to the channel, or if you're joining us for the first time, it's really great to have you on board. Now, on the channel, we've paid a fair bit of attention to both transmitters and receivers, but antennas actually play an integral part of your kit to make sure everything A, runs smoothly and you're getting the maximum performance out of your gear. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the shark fin LFA antenna from Wisycom. So the LFA, it's a directional wideband active antenna that operates in the 410 to 1300 megahertz band. So that's all the way from comms, Pyers, isn't it, all the way up to DME. Now, as I said, it's a shark fin design, so we've got a compact yet rugged form factor. It's made from epoxy fiberglass, only weighs 550 grams, and that skeletal frame also means we have reduced wind resistance. It's coated with a matte black and then textured nano coating, so it's resistant to water and weather effects, and there's sealed gasketing in there as well, so if you do want to use it outside in adverse weather conditions, you haven't got to worry about that at all. Now on the front you can see we've got 4 easy to use buttons and a TFT display that you can control all of the settings of the antenna by, or it can be remotely controlled via a data link from compatible Wisycom kit, from your MAT matrices, from SPL 2208 and 2216 active splitters, and also a really brilliant feature of this that I'm sure many of you will actually use is you can control it directly from your sound device's 8 series mixer with SL2 as well. All of that data runs down the same coax cable as your DC and then RF signals. Right then, Pyers, you're a strong advocate of the LFA. It's time for you to fry my brain as such with the deeper features of this, because there's so many features it offers. I mean, that's why it's our antenna of choice here, isn't it? What have we actually got?
Well, Tom, I mean, one of the things that I always bang on at people about in the RF world is how important it is to make sure you don't have a weakest link anywhere in the chain. In any RF system, you've got from the antenna to the receiver input, you might have distribution amplifiers or splitter amplifiers in something like an SL2 or in one of the slot units. So what you want to do is make sure that not only the gain structure but the frequency range is as tightly controlled as possible and as accurately set as possible, so you don't get the weakest link, because there's no point in having a 20,000–30,000 pound RF system that's let down by one little component because the gain is set wrong. So the LFA actually gives you an opportunity to get everything right at the very start of the chain. Obviously the antenna is the very first thing, it's the interface between the ether and your equipment. And so what you want to do is obviously minimize the risk of any interference further down the chain. So you need to get the gain set right, and you need to get the filters set right. Now the Wisycom filters are in exactly the right place before any active circuitry. So you've got filters before it actually hits any amplifiers. So you're filtering out unwanted signals before they can overload, because obviously, just like in the audio world, if you overload an RF amplifier, it creates distortion. It will just make noise all over your signals and you'll lose a take, or you just won't be able to get the signals. So you want to get that filtered right before the amplifier. So the LFA has 3 types of filter. It's got a tunable filter that tunes 430 to 730 megahertz in a 40 megahertz bandwidth. So you can tune that everywhere from comms frequencies down at the bottom right up to the top of UHF. You've then got a selection of 3 high pass and low pass filters, and depending on the model they have different cutoff frequencies. You can basically set high pass and low pass filters separately. If 40 megahertz on the tunable filter isn't wide enough for you, that enables you to make it just wide enough to get the amount of channels you want in. And in fact, this also includes DME frequencies. DME frequencies are increasingly a thing in the UK. At the moment, they're only licensable in the UK, but because it's a global band for aircraft, I think they'll be licensed elsewhere. So it gives you the opportunity to also filter out just the DME band if that's what you want, so you don't get any noise from the UHF spectrum. So that's basically, that's got your signal conditioned, if you like, before it goes into the amplifier. So you've literally narrowed the band down to just the minimum that you need to get what you need through it. Then the amplifier. Again, you don't want a weakest link in the chain, so the amplifier has to be a very high performance with a very high performance under very large signal conditions. For instance, if you get somebody turn up with a walkie-talkie and key it up right next to it, obviously you'd hope the filter would catch that, depending on where you've set the filter, but the opportunity to overload that amplifier is always an issue if it's not properly designed. So they've got a very, very high performance, low noise, very high headroom amplifier, and that's adjustable. Actually, I think you can go from -12, so you can have a loss if you want. If you literally, that can be very, very useful. I've been in situations where you've got multiple antenna systems. For instance, like in the jungle on a certain TV program, you've got some people sitting in this little tiny room, the diary room, whatever it's called. That's a different, mixing up two shows there. You know, they're like a metre in front of the antenna, and then you've got people who are like 20, 30 metres away. You might actually want to reduce the gain in an antenna, so you've got the opportunity to actually have loss if you want it. But then you can have up to 27 dB of gain. Now, as far as I know, no other antenna has that amount of gain. You might think, well, why would you want so much gain?
It's a vast amount of gain.
It is a vast amount of gain. Well, actually, if you think about it, if what you're trying to do with the gain in the antenna is to compensate for losses that are happening in the cable, or even if you're using a passive combiner, you might be combining multiple antennas with a two-way, a four-way, maybe more combiner. Now, those combiners, by their very nature, just due to the laws of physics, have a loss. You want to compensate for that loss with the amplifier, so you can do that. But also cables. Cables obviously have loss. I mean, LMR 400, which is my preferred cable because it's a really high performance double screen cable with very low loss. At 600 megahertz, that's about 1 dB per 10 meters. So the amplifier in this antenna could compensate for 270 meters of that cable. And if you're using thin cable like we got on here, then you wouldn't be able to get away with quite so much, but you'd still be able to compensate for 50, 60, 70, maybe 100 meters of cable. So it is actually very, very useful. And getting, as I said, the most important thing is getting it right at the very start of the chain, so that all of your lovely equipment further down the chain doesn't get overloaded and is fed with the right signal level with no overload.
I think that's the overarching thing with the LFA is no matter what situation you're in, it's got you covered.
Absolutely.
There's the power in there and the performance to back you up to make sure the rest of your equipment operates exactly how we've got it designed. Can you tell he likes it? The LFA is a favourite at Raycom for a reason. Guys, that is a quick run through for you. What we're actually going to do in a future video is dive into the menus a bit more and actually the setup of the LFA, but this is an overview of actually the product itself. As Pyers did mention, there are a selection of bands available, or sort of different setups of the LFA available, all of which are on raycom.co.uk. We'll link the product page for the LFA down below for you. Thank you very much for watching though. If you have enjoyed the video of me and Pyers nattering along, please do hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Show your support for the channel as well by dropping us a like, just so we know, you've actually enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you in the next video. See you soon.